guess what? The prodigals are coming in. This is the season that we've been telling you about for a long time. I say we because I know the Lord's been speaking it to you. I know he's been speaking to me. I know prophets have spoken it. I know it's been going on for decades. But we are in that season where prodigals are returning. We're watching it. It's literally happening on the news. It's happening in community after community. Over the past 3-4 days, I've seen literally images of thousands of people coming to Jesus. People turning to the Lord. The Lord's even reminded me of some things just recently of what he's promised me in the past. And he said, Danny, this day's coming. And I believe we are in it. We are right there, right now. I am so excited. And yes, we yearn, our hearts break for some of the things that have been happening to some of our prodigals. They're in pain. They need deliverance. They need freedom. And that's the reason why we've been in this season right now, just these 7 days of pushing through. I wasn't with you yesterday. I didn't speak anything on day 3. Day 3 is a resurrection day. Day 3, everything flips. Day 3, you're left in awe because God is about to move. God is about to do something. But today, we're on day 4. And I'm excited about day 4 because I believe something's about to happen that we're stepping into. God is moving forth. That he's stepping into some things even this week for our children, for our cousins, for our aunts, for our uncles, for our nephews and nieces, for our spouses, that today is a breakthrough day. I was reading through Isaiah 43, and it's amazing. We've used this passage so many times about the heart wrench of what we're going through. And look, God's going to do a new thing, and we're trying to recover from the depression that we've been in. But the coolest thing about this passage is that the context of this passage is that God basically speaks to the people, and he says, listen, I want you to recall, I want you to remember the best moments. Can you remember when your child asked Jesus into their life and the excitement? You're like, oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad you asked Jesus into your life. Can you remember the times that were momentary where God touched your child and you were so excited? Or maybe God healed them and now they're in a place that's completely different and they may not even acknowledge that they know the Lord. Those are the painful things that we walk through when you deal with prodigals. But the Lord speaks so clearly in Isaiah 43, and he says, this is what the Lord says. He who made a way through the sea, a path through the mighty waters, who drew out the chariots and horses, the army and reinforcements together, that they lay there, never to rise again, extinguished, snuffed out like a wick. He's speaking about when the Red Sea closed in on the army of Egypt and delivered the people of God. He goes on and he says this verse that's so misquoted, but this is the context. Forget those things. Forget the former things. Forget the greatest moves of God that have ever occurred in your life, in the lives of your children, in the lives of your prodigal. Forget those things. Don't dwell on the past. Don't live in the idolatry of what God once did. It is time for something fresh. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Can't you perceive it? I'm making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. Do you realize that God right now is taking some of those whom our own young people fell away from the Lord because of, and he's turning those very figures in the world into those who are becoming the righteousness of God and are moving a whole generation back directly into God. It's incredible what God is doing in this hour. We are living in that moment. He says the wild animals, you ready? The worst of the worst are going to honor me. The jackals, the owls, the things that are creeping around at night, the things that pick up the dead things, they're all going to honor me because I provide water in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland. Wow. See, we're headed into a moment. We're headed into an incredible moment. I wonder if we're really ready for what God is about to do. Are we really, really ready? Because what God is in the process of doing is not, he doesn't consult with us. He doesn't look to us for counsel about how he's going to move on them. The Lord began revealing some things to me today through one of the Old Testament prophets. And he said, you know, what is going to happen when this generation begins to understand that I'm about to reach some of the most reprehensible, horrible people? What are God's people going to do when I start reaching the ones that right now they believe are their enemies? What are they going to do? What are they going to be those who will complain? Or is God big enough to reach into the vilest? Can he reach a murderer of Christians like Paul? Can he reach a deceitful man, wicked, stealing, a thief like Matthew as a tax collector? Can he reach the hardest hardcore individuals? I know he can. Does he want to? He absolutely does. He is not willing that any should perish. Some of you need to look at your images and your visions of your worst enemies, the nightmares, the ones that we want to go all over Facebook and say, get rid of this guy. This guy's horrible. I don't like this. You need to start visualizing what it is. And I'm not telling you to do a spiritual thing. I'm just saying you need to image them and say, Jesus wants them saved. Jesus wants the worst of the worst to acknowledge him. None of us deserve salvation, but he paid for all of our salvation, even those we don't think deserve it. You have an awesome day today. Call your prodigals in. Listen to the stories. Watch what God is doing. He is moving. He is moving. He is moving. And we are living in that hour right now. Bless you.